Right, so I'm going to lay up this billet now. I'm trying one first. I've got two of these to do, two separate billets. One for myself and one for Dave. We're kind of doing a little bit of a, in a way, a collaboration. I told Dave I'd send him a billet of Damascus to make a knife because he's never used it. And so I'm going to make kind of make the two billets almost identical. Send him one. I'm going to make a knife out of one. Dave's going to make a knife out of the other, and we're just going to see how they come out. I've got 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 pieces of steel here. The twist is there. Second one down. And I've got 3 layers of 1095 on the bottom because I didn't have any thicker 1095. I needed a thicker piece, and that is going to be the edge of the blade. So I'm going to forge these down together now and draw out the shape of the knife. I've welded them on this file because I may need to extend the handle out yet a little bit. If that weld, it's a full weld there, full MIG weld. If it won't stick, then I'll put a scarf joint on this billet and weld the file to it, a proper scarf joint. So I'm going to try it out and get it in the forge and see how we go.
So here we go, just very gently tapping on this front edge and along the billet just to bring these pieces together. It'd be so easy at this point to just fold this thing in half if you hit it hard. That was the second pass on that, just slight gentle taps, and I've just cleaned all the crud off just to see what the welds are like, and they look pretty good. So we can think that it's stuck together. I'll just gently go under the press and just draw it out a little bit and flatten it back again, draw it out, flatten it back. And I've got the fullering and the flattening die on here, and what I'm doing now is I'm bringing the front down to a point. It just saves doing it on the anvil. Makes a much quicker job of it, this. You can just do it in one heat rather than doing it in 3 or 4 heats, you know. Wants a bit of refining now because you can only do so much with the press. It's at this point, I think, I start seeing a little, what looks like a crack right at the front. And I'm not sure whether it's a crack or whether it's the layer on the top which is just slightly folded over the twisted billet. So this is kind of a little rounded base fullering tool which kind of spreads the metal in all directions. You can see now we're just getting a bit of shape into it. And just carry on refining this front end, making sure that they're stuck, and I'm really hammering on that front now just to see if that is a good weld or not. And now I'm hammering the bevels just to widen out the knife a little bit. It's when it goes cold you can actually see the what I thought was a crack, but I'm kind of in two minds whether it's a crack or an inclusion or just like a fold. But I put some borax on to clean the steel and a wire brush it off, and it doesn't look like a crack. It looks like a crack on one side, the other side it looks good, so I'm thinking it's an inclusion that will probably grind out. Because of that, I was going to forge a choil, finger choil under and the bottom of the knife, and I decided not to, just in case it is a crack, because I just can't work it out looking at the steel. But anyway, at this point I'm more or less done. So what I do now is thermal cycle that blade 3 times, put 2 files in the forge to cool it down a bit and leave the knife in there.
Right guys, came out of the oven and the weld that I thought had opened up is right there on the front. It's not actually opened up, it's a slight inclusion, and I know why that is, because when I had put this bar stack together, the twisted billet had a slight cant on the top, and that has not, it's come together in the middle but the edges haven't quite welded, so it's kind of called an inclusion, and there could be a bit of borax and other crud in there. It's welded in the middle. It's got a great ring to it. So it is welded. I'm going to put it on the surface grinder now and take this side off. So I've just literally put that on the 272, roughly flattened the side off. I will place that side down now, and I will take this off, and I will take the whole blade down to probably about 3.54 millimeters. And then once I've taken some more of this surface off, I can have a look at that inclusion or that bad weld there. If it looks good, then I will make the knife as is. If not, I'm going to grind the profile to get rid of that inclusion, and plus I can always bring the knife back to just completely remove that inclusion or bad weld. Plenty enough knife, I have plenty enough handle. I didn't need the file because the billet I had was enough to draw out for the handle. I did want to forge a choil in this. I decided not to when I saw that, because if I had forged the choil in, that would have limited the length of my blade then. That's why I went back under the press and I just drew that handle out longer to give me some wiggle room really to sort out this front if that weld had come apart. I can get a knife out of it. I can get a good knife out of it. I'm not sure what the pattern looks like yet. I can just glimpse it. If I was to sand it at a higher grit, you'd be able to see it. But I think that the twist, I was worried about the twist being too big and dominating the actual billet, but it's gone the other way really. It's not big enough. But this billet, it was really a trial for me to see how to lay up, how to forge weld this particular stack into a knife. Now I know. So I'm not sending this one to Dave. The other one, which is identical, now I know how to forge weld it. I am going to do that one today, and then I'm going to draw this out. I am not grinding this to shape just yet because it might give Dave some idea of what I'm doing, and I don't want that because I want Dave to just do his own thing on it. I've looked at his knives, some gorgeous knives. I kind of know his style, so I kind of know what sort of knife he's going to make, because on this knife I have to forge the tip in, because you can't, on a multiple layer billet, you can't just abruptly stop on a square billet. You've got to bring all them billets together to a point to get the best look out of it. So I will have to forge a tip in for Dave. I'll kind of have to forge in a profile like that sweeping back, which I know Dave uses anyway. So I'll possibly forge a billet out very similar to this, and then Dave will do what he wants with it. I will make the end here slightly deeper because I know he likes these big crazy sweeping plunges. So I'll make sure he's got enough depth there to do what the hell he wants with it. Alright, I'm going to leave this video here for now, guys, and when Dave's got his billet, and when Dave's got his video up and going, I'll put my video out of finishing off this billet at the same time, so you can then have a look at both of them. Okay, what I'm getting at with this billet is a knife I have wanted to make for a long time. This was going to be it, but what I did with the twist, I messed up on the twist because I twisted it too much, because I want a directional twist on this knife. I wanted to put two directional twists together, and once I'd forged out that bar, that twisted bar, and etched and had a look at it, I realised that wasn't going to happen because it was too wound too tight, so the twisting was virtually vertical all the way down. So for the knife I want to make, I need to do a higher layer count. This was 230 or 40, I think, something like that, this twist. I'm gonna go up to 400, maybe a little more, but I am not going to twist it as much. So the twist will be directional, and I'm going to twist two bars, one clockwise, one anti-clockwise, so you can see how I'm going to lay up the ultimate billet for the knife I want to make. And it will be a 5-layer billet. It will be a 5-layer billet now. I'm also going to increase the layer count of the laminations, of the two laminations as well. I've found that from forging this out, that's not quite what I want. So I can't remember what this was it about 60-70 layer laminations? I'm going to go up to 120 layers on the laminations on the next one as well. Funnily enough, the edge steel, the edge band, which is just 1095, is perfect, so I know that for next time. I know the thicknesses of my billets. I know that I have enough steel to draw out a knife without messing around with the tang in future. I can forge a ricasso in, I can forge a choil in, I can then draw out my handle, shape the knife, leave it a real good thickness, so I can surface grind it down to get rid of any decarb layers on the surface of the steel, maybe 1/2 mil of decarb lost through forging, and we'll have a great knife. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I've got a tip, by the way, for anyone forging. If we're talking about laying up a billet to start with, let's assume we've got 10, 20, 15 layers of steel laminated. There's two ways of going about it. You can either hot cut and fold. You can do it 2 or 3 times, but it just gets messy trying to fold one, trying to fold the other, trying to fold the other. It gets messy, and you're in severe danger of getting decarb layers in your welds, because as that steel is in the oxygen, there's decarb forming on the surface. So the longer it takes you to get them pieces put back together, you're gonna have bad welds, you're gonna have decarb layers. So when I do a hot cut and stack, hot cut, fold and re-weld, I kind of just go in the center and bring it over. Now the only trouble with doing that is what you've got, let's say on that surface you've got a layer of 15 and 20 and a 1095 below, and a 15 and 20, and so on. So if that whole layer there is a 15 and 20, if you hit it on the back and bring it together, what you're effectively doing is you're making then 2 layers of 15 and 20. So your layers aren't balanced, so you're gonna, at that point there, you're gonna have a thicker 15 and 20 layer, which is obviously double the thickness of every other layer. And if you want a certain look in a piece of Damascus, that's not what you want to do. So you really have to restack. And what I always do when I restack a billet, if that's drawn out to say 1 foot long, after I've cleaned it up, I put a line, just put a sharpie line down one side of the billet, so that when it's cut up, I know I'll stack the blank side on the sharpie, blank on the sharpie, so I am stacking alternate layers all the way up, because you can do the same thing if you don't mark your Damascus when after you've cleaned it ready for stacking. You can put two 1095s together, you can put two 15N20s together, and you can have them thicker thinner layers. If that's a look you want, that's fine, but I'm after a perfectly balanced laminate layer on this knife, so that's why I haven't been folding. I've been cutting and stacking. The twist, I did hot cut the twist, so I did 3 or 4 hot cuts on the twist. That doesn't really matter, but you can actually see it in the twist, I believe, because on them twists there's wider banding as it goes along, and I don't mind that on the twist pattern. But on the next twists I will do, I'm going to eliminate that wider banding because I want the twists perfect symmetrical. Well, that's a good bit of rambling away. Anyway, I hope it helps somebody out. I also forgot to mention on my last video that I'm about to take my rocket stove apart, and I'm gonna somehow figure it out so I can get some heat in this shop in winter. I'm either going to bring the flue through the wall and empty into here. I don't really know that that will be enough heat to heat this room, so what I may actually do is build a kind of shroud around the back of that rocket stove, because there's too much heat in that shop. So I may build a shroud, and I may put a fan on to draw and blow it into here. So I might do a blow and air system, don't know yet, but whatever we do, the rocket stove's coming to bits, because it really does need a new riser and base, because that has now fallen apart, and we need to fix the chimney. We need to fix the where the chimney goes through the roof, because that's leaking. The cowling around it has rotted away. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. I've got a great idea for a new riser, which should last me a year or two, hopefully, because works on the same principle as a forge, and I know these things take severe temperatures and borax, which will destroy anything. Right guys, thanks for watching. Thank you to my patrons. I've got your draw coming, guys. I know I keep saying that, but my daughter's printing out some stuff for me to send to some of you. I think there will be either 3 or 4 things I will send out for the different tiers, and we'll see who gets what, and I'll get that video up very soon, fellas, as soon as she's done these shirts for us. Alright. What I will do is when the winners are announced on Patreon, I will contact the guys who win, just ask them what size they are, t-shirts, etc. Okay, and then I'll get one printed out in the meantime. I think she's finalised it now, so I'll get one of them printed out. You can have a look at that, and if you like it, then we'll get it sent on a shirt to you, but you'll have an option of prizes anyway. Right, thanks for watching. See you soon, guys. Bye for now.